Hello Internet, welcome back to Tromsø Twilight, the channel where I, Vincent, talk to you, whoever is watching, about books, movies, music I enjoy, find interesting, or a combination of the two. Today we are talking about a book. The book in question is called We the Animals. It is written by Justin Torres. Torres? This is an American writer. He published this novella in 2011. I have a book club with a friend who lives in the UK. He and I read one book a month and meet on Zoom and talk about them. And this was the one we did for this month. At his recommendation, he found it on a list of like the best books of the 21st century on the New York Times. And it happened to be the kind of thing that I really love because, for one thing, it's written in this beautiful poetic language. And each chapter is only maybe 2-3 pages, at least at the beginning. It's from a child's perspective, a lot of the start of the book, and the unnamed narrator. It's difficult not to think of it as being Justin Torres, but at the same time, this book has the feel of something that was maybe written by someone who'd done a creative writing master's. So I don't know how autobiographical it is, but the central character lives with his family in upstate New York. I don't know much about upstate New York. I've been to New York briefly, and these characters are from Brooklyn. I think his mother is white and his father is Puerto Rican, and I think maybe Afro Latino. His parents are both quite troubled. His mother seems to be somewhat unstable. She has a certain vitality, warmth, closeness that the children can like, but I think she's quite young and she's a little troubled. So at times she's kind of frightening. There's a really great passage where the father throws both the narrator and the mother in water and she pushes him under because she's terrified to drown. Gives you a sense of this kind of ambivalence that he feels towards her. Also, the children, there's three of them, they see their father kind of abusing their mother, and this does something to their sense of respect for her. They're terrified of their father. They want more contact with their mother, but they also, to some extent, look down on her because they see her being kind of dominated and dependent. The narrator uses we for much of the beginning of the book. There's these three boys in this family with this mother and this father, and they're a sort of unit at the beginning. I think at the very start, the narrator is 7 years old. His mother says to him, don't get older, don't get any older. And he's like, why? And she tries to explain it to him. It's basically that he'll start to internalize masculinity and she'll kind of lose him. And in the very moment that they're trying to talk about this together, he does something, shows his affection or his interest towards her in some way that makes her uncomfortable, and he realizes he's already crossed that divide for her. He and his three brothers are almost feral. Their parents don't give them much guidance. They don't seem to be around that much. So they're kind of out in the world, and it has this magical child's eye view of this quite brutal world and environment that they live in. So there's something warm about it. There's something very charming about it, but at the same time, a lot of what is happening is quite horrifying. There were many things I related to in this book. One of them was this sense that in a family, even as a thing is happening, you can already have a sort of unspoken agreement about this is something we will never speak of. There's a section near the start where the three boys are all sort of allowed to hit and beat their parents, and their parents won't respond. One of them starts and they will realize they're actually going to let us do this time. Normally, the father would explode and threaten them, but just in this moment, this is permitted. And even as they're doing it, they know that this is like a complete one-off. And I remember events from my youth that I don't think if I brought them up in my family, anyone would even admit that they happened. Another thing that I relate to, and that I think probably many people who read a lot will relate to, is that this central character, this narrator, as the book goes on, he has a certain interest in aesthetic things, in art, in creativity. He somehow differentiates himself from his family unit, and they can see it. And they admire him for it, but they also resent him for it. And he, on some level, feels ashamed of his difference, but on the other hand, also sort of hates them for it. This is something I think a lot of people from working class backgrounds who maybe started to show signs of transcending their situation throughout their teenage years kind of will relate to. And in this book, it's also bound up with him starting to realize that he has an effeminate side that's connected to the fact that he's interested in men, he's gay, and there's a beautiful, beautiful chapter in this book where his father leaves him alone and he's in a museum where they're projecting a film of Niagara Falls, and he starts to kind of dance within the water falling, and this is the first time that he sort of is himself, like authentically himself. And around this time in the book he stops using we and he starts using I. Now this book is totally beautiful. It's really beautiful. I think if any of these themes interest you, or if you like poetic writing and you like coming of age novels, you will like this book. I will say I dislike the choices that the writer made towards the end, like the last two chapters of the book. I felt somewhat betrayed by the way the narrative turned, and I would be able to forgive Justin Torres if I believed that it was based on his life. But if it isn't, then I feel like he made strange decisions in terms of where the narrative went. If you've read the book, let me know in the comments if you agree or if you totally disagree. I do think this is an ending that some people would find very moving, or maybe could relate to. So that's it. That's just a short one this time around. I wanted to check in and let you know about this book. I'm also going to be talking in my next video about this book, A Book of Dreams by Peter Reich. So if you're interested in hearing about this, come back soon. And I'm going to try and publish it on Friday, but I always say I'm going to do something on this channel and I never actually do, so who knows. But before too long. Okay, take care. Peace.